Now, my other question for you is, how do you do that? How do you go from one client at $800 a month to 30 days later, a client at 30,000 a month?
Well, basically what I did is my first client was Heather Monahan. She's a huge LinkedIn influencer, and I used her as training reels. And my formula for everything is I do it for myself and then I do it for others. So she gave me the confidence that I could take over somebody's like LinkedIn profile, for example. So I had a team of 10 volunteers and I had like a little intern program. I was paying nobody except for like my audio engineer. And I had like some Filipino like video people that I used to pay like one girl like $700 a month. And like I literally had no money. I didn't have money yet. I was just working in corporate, And so I had this free team, but I was really motivating to them. I was like, at that time, it's funny because it's like now I have 60 people on my team and like everybody loves me as a CEO. I'm a great CEO, but like people, they were infatuated with me at the time, like my volunteer team, and they were so aligned to the mission. So this is like a lesson that I'm trying to like give to your listeners is that when you're so passionate about your mission, and I had no intentions to make money. I started the podcast to like do good for the world, and people were so attracted to that. And I had so much to teach them. I had so many skills. I was so good at social, so good at writing, so good at going viral, so good at making videos, graphics. And I would teach everybody how to do this. And so they were really thankful because I was teaching them skills that they could then monetize and go on their own. And so I had this amazing team that was super aligned to my mission. And basically what I decided is that everything that we could do for me, we could start to offer as a service. So we figured out how to hack like LinkedIn. Then we started to do that. We figured out how to do a podcast. So I was able to offer that as a service. And so I just like shot my shot. There was this guy the guy that gave me the $30,000 retainer, my second client, his name is Jason Waller. He's still my client. I came on his show. He invited me on his show because I was like I'm getting lit up because it's like a funny story. Yeah. He invited me on his show because I was doing a really great job in like making my way as a podcaster. This was 2 years ago or like maybe a little less than 2 years ago. And at the end of the interview, and mind you, I had one client, all I was doing was her LinkedIn and her videos. Maybe I started taking like a little bit, but like I barely had an agency. It was just a side hustle and I was making $800 a month. And he's like, Hala, do you do this? Like, can you help me with my podcast? Can you help me with my social? And this guy's a billionaire. He has like the #1 private company in America. It's called Go Pink now. And he's super rich. And he was like, can you do this for me? Like, and I was like, yeah, I have an agency, Yap Media. And so lesson here is like, say yes before you know you're ready, right? So I was very confident. And I was like, hell yeah, we could do it for you. I've got such a great podcast. I'm blowing up on LinkedIn. I could take over all your social and your podcast. He's like, okay, let's have a meeting and you'll pitch me and like give me a proposal and we'll talk. And I'm like, okay, cool. So we scheduled a meeting. I spent time on a PowerPoint. They used to call me the PowerPoint princess before they called me the podcast princess. So like, thank you, corporate job, for teaching me how to do PowerPoints. So I created this amazing PowerPoint that was like all branded, Yap Media. And I was with my business partner, Timothy Tan, and we were like, all right, let's offer LinkedIn, Instagram, and podcast. And we were talking about pricing and we're like, fuck it, let's just do 10,000 each service. Like we had no rhyme or reason. We're like, what's the worst you could do is no. And so I had this presentation and I was like, we'll do like, I had all my services. We went through each thing. And then at the end of it, I'm like, yeah, and it's $30,000 a month. And he was like, let's do it. And I was like, okay. And then I had to figure everything out. Like, it's just like, I just had to figure it out. I just figured it out. I was like, all right, we offered him this. I know I can do it all. I did it all for myself. So that's the key. I didn't come in there like not really knowing how to do it. I was like, well, I did it for myself. I guess I can offer this to somebody else. And then that just changed everything. I was able to start paying my interns and paying my volunteers and hiring them and hiring more people. And then I just kept getting client after client. Then Kara Golden, the CEO of Hintwater, was like one of my next clients. Then I got Alex Carter, the world's like top female negotiation expert. And then I just kept getting client after client. Once you get one, it's like really easy to get the rest. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the important lesson there is, sometimes people are so scared from a capacity standpoint, right? Where it's like, I don't know if I'm ready to take this on, or I don't know if I'm going to do this. And, you mentioned Kara. Kara had sent me a copy of her book. And one thing I loved about her book was you have to fly the plane while you're building it, right? And so shout out to her on that. And I feel like that's what you did almost, where it's like, you are learning as you go, and you took that and look, you built a company that's, doing 4 million in revenue, but not to mention revenue aside, you see how many businesses shut down in the last 2 years. So for you to not only have triple digit or whatever it is growth, but to also sustain that is what's even more impressive in this environment.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, COVID, it's so funny. Like COVID, it ruined businesses, but I launched my business right when COVID happened and digital took off. So some industries like really thrive.